Maria NYABERA arrived on the doorstep one evening 3 months after that Easter. She looked thin and quite haggard. The children ran to her in welcome. Her mother moved forward, saw her face, and hesitated a little, somewhat arrested by the expression in her eyes. Then she reached for her child anyhow. It is a fact of life that once a mother, always a mother, until the day of death, even if the child is 70. Sometimes it is pure joy, but sometimes it means incredible pain, and of all these pains, there is no pain like the knowledge that the child suffers and cannot be helped. Maria smiled with her mouth, and in her voice there was a forced gaiety as she marshaled all her considerable storytelling powers to entertain the children. She avoided her mother's eyes studiously throughout. Eventually it was bedtime and Ward left to sleep in a friend's Simba, for he was too old to sleep with the women folk. Awiti brought her pallet and fell asleep by the hearth. The mother and daughter were alone. "My child." It was a bear mama. "Yes, mother." "What made you suffer like this?" She had been gone close to 2 years. She had meant to resist, to say nothing, as she had said nothing when going. But before she knew what was happening, sob upon agonizing sob broke from her throat, and the story, the longing, the backtracking, the failure came pouring from her mouth. She had just heard that the man's wife had died from someone who had just arrived at the mission from the village. She had tried to resist, but she could not help herself and had hoped that some sort of licit union could be formed out of their previous relationship. They had lived together as man and wife for a while, with her trying to bring him around to her way of thinking. A child had been born, a boy, and she had redoubled her efforts for his sake. It was soon clear, however, that the man was set in his ways and he had no intentions of changing. He started courting a young girl to be his second wife. Then the baby became ill, as all the others had done before him, and eventually died. "Mother, I have sinned against God and I have failed you. I who led you to this place." "My child, you have sinned, yes, but you have failed no one, least of all me. To tumble and fall is human, so human that God, almost despairing of our ever really understanding him, made himself human for our sake, that we may touch him and hear him and know him. Go to the church and talk to him there. Have you not understood these things? Do you not comprehend the depths of his love and mercy?" NYABERA stumbled out and spent the night kneeling before the tabernacle. The priest, coming in the church in the morning, found her there. She staggered to her feet. "Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It is 2 years now since my last confession. I wish to confess." He went to his side of the screen and she to hers. After the absolution, she came out to start her penance. She felt as if a load had been lifted off her shoulders. Time heals all wounds. In time, Maria saw that while she had been out looking for a son, she had one all along who loved her like a mother, the boy Owor. For the first time, she noticed his loving gaze, his helpful ways, his consistent attention to her. She had differed many times with her own daughter, but never once had she ever had to exchange words with her nephew. Owor, a sensitive boy, seeing the agony his aunt was in, went out of his way to comfort her. His reading was by now excellent, and he read to her frequently, especially from the Psalms. "Out of the depths I have cried unto thee, O Lord. Lord, hear my voice. Be attentive to my supplication. If thou, Lord, should mark iniquities, who shall stand?" She liked that particular one so much that she asked him to read it again and again. Eventually, she forgave herself, the last step in self-acceptance. One day, Maria and her nephew Owor happened to be alone. He broached the subject of his vocation. "Maria, I think God is calling me to priesthood," he said quietly. She was taken entirely by surprise. "What?" "I think God is calling me to priesthood." "Have you spoken to your grandmother?" No, I thought I'd speak to you first. Actually, it was Awiti's idea. Besides, I was afraid that I might cause her pain." You are so young. Maybe you should wait a little. Waiting will not make me change my mind. I know that I have no choice in that matter, but I hate to do this to her. Then I will speak to her about it. Better still, you come with me and we will talk to her together. As usual, they found Akoko busy weeding her sorghum patch. They simply brought down their hoes and joined in the work. Nothing was said for quite a spell. Then Akoko, who well knew that at such an hour her grandson was usually occupied elsewhere, asked, "What brings Owor here at this hour? It can't be for the love of weeding. He has had something on his mind for a long time and has been as jumpy as an ant with its tail in hot embers. Speak up, young man." Owor looked at his grandmother in confusion. Naturally, he had thought that his secret was well kept. The confusion became respectful admiration. He should have known nothing could escape this astute woman. "Grandmother, you know that I have worked closely with the priest and I feel that I would like to enter priesthood. I want to be a priest." His grandmother was nothing if not surprising, so he should not have been flabbergasted by her reaction. But he was. "I wondered when you will get the courage to come out with it. You will not be my grandson if you are a coward. You have concluded quite wrongly that I will stand in your way. It is true that I have had hopes that you might one day sit in the chief stool that your father and your grandfather once occupied, but things have changed and people are turning to different things. I had also hoped that you would marry and provide many sons to ensure the continuity of the house of Owor Kembo. But no, I will not stand in your way. However, from now henceforth, you shall fully take your grandfather's name, so that as long as you live, his name shall be heard among the people. You will not be Owor Sino, but Owor Kembo. Do whatever the spirit bids you." Owor could only say weakly, "Oh, grandmother." The two women smiled at each other over his head. And so it was that Peter Owor Kembo, formerly Petro Owor Sino, aged 15, found himself a seminarian at St. Paul's Seminary, Rakwaro. His worldly possessions were few, his academic knowledge haphazard, but he had faith in God and therefore in himself, and he had love in his heart and the solid love of 3 women behind him. Finally, he had unbounded hope in the future. So what if this hope was rosily colored by his youthful enthusiasm? One wise man once said that it was better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. In the same vein, it is better to have been buoyed up by hope, the horizons limitless before one, than to have lived in the grey world of timid fearfulness. The course of the world is changed by those who dare to dream. Some dream of wealth and others dream of fame. Owor dreamt of a life expended in service. He who had never really known his father or the joys of a father-son relationship now dreamt of being the spiritual father of many. And so he entered the rigors and splendors of the life in the seminary. Sometimes, when things were particularly tough, he would wonder whether mere blood and flesh should survive it, but it never entered in his mind to live. If he had learned anything at all at his grandmother's knee, it was that a job once begun had to be completed. He was no quitter. He will survive. He will see it through. One day he will be Father Peter, maybe one day a bishop. He was happy to serve Christ anywhere and anyway.